subscribe show, YouTube.
Cole Spivey.
That was good. That was real good.
So Tony was kind of my first experience with death. I believe the cat was named Tony. We had a pony. I can't think of the name of the pony, but I know the cat was named Tony. We also had a pony, and I don't know if the pony was named Tony, but the cat was named Tony. I remember it was the first cat we kind of had. We weren't really that connected to that cat. The cat that we were really connected to was Princess, which we had later. But Tony was an all-white cat, and it was the first time my sister and I ever saw anything where we really registered it as dead. Because my dad had this trailer, and Tony, which is an older cat, he must have maybe drank some antifreeze or something like that, because the cats will sometimes they'll drink it thinking it's a sweet, kind of a sweet substance, and it kills them. So some cats will actually drink antifreeze. We don't know exactly how Tony died, but my sister and I went over to the trailer, and I remember my sister said, come here, and she told me to kind of squat down and look underneath the trailer, which we lived in, because my dad at that time was living on the property of my grandparents, which was out in Keller, right off of Randall Mill. When it was old Randall Mill, we actually had a hill that went down and then turned to the right. Now it's like almost like a very small highway or something. Now it's very different. But back then it was all country. And my sister and I walked over there really slow. She had me kneel down. You could smell the weird smell of death. It's an odd smell, a very bitter smell, you know. I don't remember if she was closing my nose so I wouldn't smell it or whatever. And there the cat was underneath the trailer, dead, and its jaw was disconnected from its head. I know it's kind of a descriptive, disgusting thing, but I remember that. I remember the way the jaw was. It was kind of hanging down, and you knew 100% that cat was dead. It had been rotten under there for a while, and we knew that cat was not coming back from where it went, you know. At that moment, we were very, very young. I was probably maybe 4, like right before kindergarten, or maybe around that time. And I don't know if we were visiting there, or I think we were getting the trailer set up, and we were still kind of like moving there and stuff. This was out in Keller off of Randall Mill. And yeah, you know, I knew at that moment that there was a place that you go and you don't really come back from, you know. I kind of understood it a little bit at that moment in my life. That was a neat place to live over off of Randall Mill before my dad built the mansion across the way. It was an interesting place to live because we had an apple tree. We had, you know, like I think it was a plum tree. There were berries, different type of berries, like I think maybe blackberry. I remember blackberry because I remember getting into all of that when I was younger. You know, we could go over and get like a peach. There was a peach tree. We could just take the peach right off the tree and just take a bite out of it, you know. Same thing with apple. There was an apple tree too. There's we had all these little fruits, you know, that we could just go in the backyard and just, you know, grab a plum, you know, and eat the plum. And we did have a pony, and I think the pony's name also was Tony too. I'm not really for sure. My sister and I have a photo of us on that pony, and we're riding the pony. And it's an interesting photo because we would actually go in the backyard. My dad would pick us up. He'd put us on the pony, and we would ride around on the pony. We had a dog named Smokey, and I remember I was very close to Smokey. He looked kind of like almost like a German Shepherd with a longer mane, and he was from the German Shepherd breed, but he wasn't. I don't think he was exactly a German Shepherd. I think he had a little bit of a mutt in him. Now, we did later on have a full breed German Shepherd, but I don't think Smokey was a full breed. But he had a big shaggy coat, looked kind of like, I think he looked a little like Lassie. And I used to go in the bushes with this dog. I was a little kid, maybe 5 years old or whatever. And we would just kind of curl up and lay in the bushes. And I'd get a tick. My mom would find ticks on me. She'd bring me in. It's like, where have you been in the bushes with Smokey? And I'd be laying in the bushes with this dog for hours. I just lay there with the dog. The dog would just sit there and we just, lay in the bushes. It was kind of a weird thing. And I remember doing that. And I also remember a lot of things about living there. I remember my first big album that I listened to that I can remember, a musical album, was Grease with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. And I would just lay on the couch and I would actually go over there and put it on the stereo and lay there. And Olivia Newton-John, she would start singing and I would just like cry in the couch because of her voice. Some of the songs, it would actually make me cry, and I just lay there and cry and listen to the album. I remember doing that, and I remember my dad made a movie. He got one of those 16 millimeter things, and my sister and I were playing on the swing, and he filmed us, and he actually developed the film, and he sat us down. He got a curtain. It was a white curtain. We made popcorn, and we got to watch ourselves run around. And it was like 16 millimeter. I mean, it's probably ash now. It's probably not even around. My sister and I would watch it, and we would run up the. It was us on the swing set. And you could see us swinging. We're kind of going in a little fast motion a little bit, and then we'd run up and come down. I guess he got this old 16 millimeter thing. My dad was kind of a musician. I don't know if he ever would taken off with it, but we'd listen, or we'd be in another room and we could hear him picking the guitar, and all the time. And then of course, during those times you could smell the herb smell, if you know what I mean. Because this is back in like mid 70s, like late 70s. And you could smell the herb. And he'd also bring this guy over named Phil, and they would play like Pure Prairie League. They'd play Amy and things like that. And he kind of, I guess, wanted to be a musician in a way. But he turned out to be a jeweler instead. He got into jewelry business, a big time jewelry business in this area that I'm in right now, called Lone Star Casting. It was originally called Eutectic Metals. But he had that guitar. He still has one today. He only had the finest Martin, though. He wouldn't buy cheap guitars. He wasn't that kind of person. If he was gonna buy a guitar, he'd go and buy a very expensive like Martin, like $1,000, $3,000 Martin. It sounded very, very good. And he'd be in there in the living room by himself, just picking away, playing something. He could play music too. So my dad was musically talented. And he had a song for each of his children. He had a song for me that he could play on the piano. I don't remember if mine was guitar or piano. Teresa's, I think, my sister, I think her song was on the piano. I think he played the song that was instrumental or something like that was for Teresa. And I don't remember if we had lyrics or not. But there were songs, instrumental songs, I think, that he would play that basically kind of represented us. I did the same thing for David when David was in the belly of Angel. When we thought David was going to be a girl at a young age, it was like when he was just very, 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 very early in the process, and they didn't know for sure if it was going to be a boy or a girl. So they thought 70% chance of girl. It turned out to be a boy, and we named him Madeline. And I had a song called Madeline that I recorded on my Samsung, or it was I think it was maybe a Motorola. I don't remember if it was Samsung or not at that time. It was a phone. I don't remember which one though. Maybe it was HTC. I think it was an HTC phone. I recorded it, and it was called Madeline. Then we go back to the doctor, and they said, nope, it's going to be a boy. So anyway, I did write a song and did post it on YouTube with Lizzie Elizabeth, which is my second child, my daughter, my first daughter, and it was called Lizzie Wants a. At the time, she was a big fruit roll-up fan. So she liked fruit roll-ups. So it was like, it kind of had an REM sound a little bit, but it went like Lizzie wants a fruit roll-up. But not all the time. Not all the time. Lizzie wants a fruit roll-up. But anyway, it went like that. Lizzie liked it, and we would play. She'd play like on a pan. She'd bang on this pan. And we had a little band for a little bit. It was called the Family Band. And it was David on the drums. He played like on this pan. And Lizzie played too, like on the table with like this kitchen instrument. We just kind of made up our own instruments. And I just came up with this song called Lizzie Wants a Fruit Roll-Up. Basically, it was about her wanting a fruit roll-up. And it was fun. We all played it as a family, and it was, we did that for a while. But then I went on YouTube, and I found out there were other families that were doing this, and they'd have like 1 million hits and stuff. And we only got a few hits, but it's on there somewhere. I did that for a little while, and I thought, well, maybe we could develop this, and do like a family band thing, have the kids on the drums, and I would just play guitar, and we would come up with stuff. It was kind of a dream that I had when we were living in Irving. And that came like straight from my dad. Although my dad didn't really ever play music directly with us, but he'd let us listen, and we could listen to the music. And then sometimes he'd let us like strum the guitar a little bit. I did that a little bit with David and Elizabeth too. But I think we were kind of self-taught musicians. My dad kind of was self-taught. My dad probably knows a little bit more about music than I do. But my grandma actually could play piano, and she knew the chords, she knew certain songs that she could play, and she could probably even teach some of it. And the piano had been in our household as long as I can remember, even my dad's household. And at one point, my dad asked if I wanted to take this one piano off his hands, but I would have had to travel with this whole piano. I told him, no, I'm just going to use the guitar. I don't travel. I won't be able to travel with a piano, maybe a keyboard, but because I'd have to keep up with that piano. But it would have been cool to have for a while. I think he ended up nailing it shut. I don't really know what happened to it. I don't know. I have no idea what happened to that piano. Anyway, that's some of the history of me.